Hello everyone and welcome back to another YouTube video. I know it's been quite a while since I've made a highlights video, but yeah, we're finally back. The last couple of weeks' results haven't been quite great and the races haven't really gone to plan, so I don't think we've really had a race worthy of a highlights video. But yeah, we're back with, I think this is my first video using a WR race, so yeah, we're at Kota, America. We'd done a little bit of dry practice, and pace looked okay, but as you can see we've got the quali, and it's wet in quali, and I believe the end of the race is expected to be wet as well, so yeah, not exactly ideal considering we hadn't done any wet practice. But yeah, as tier 2 is also line only, so those running racing line might have a small advantage over those who don't, as you know, braking points etc. a little bit easier to find with racing line. But yeah, my first 2 laps I invalidated, which left us in quite a bad spot as we were nearing the end of the session without a lap. So yeah, on board with this lap. Quite a scruffy first sector. Yeah, just general mistakes, running wide etc. In the S section, once you make one mistake, it's as if your whole kind of sector is gone. But important that we didn't invalidate, so yeah, that's one of the small pluses, I guess. Apologies for the small frame drops and freezes. I'm not sure why, but yeah, the stream on that day was suffering a bit, so yeah, apologies for that. Hopefully for the next video should be fixed, as I always tend to say. But yeah, PS, for those who play on PlayStation probably know, in the actual session the FPS isn't ideal, so yeah, even with the recording and stuff, it does tend to not be great. Yes, the lap so far hasn't been great, but it hasn't been the worst thing in the world. Might not look super clean, but I think in terms of pace compared to others, it wasn't too slow. Yeah, quality was actually quite bad in terms of the footage, but yeah, nearing the end of the lap, I was really suffering. I was really like struggling with the penultimate corner, this corner right here, as I couldn't find a clear reference point for turning and braking. So yeah, coming into the last corner, just need to be careful on the power. And we came across, I think it was a 44.7. Yeah, so at the time it was just under half a second off pole, and now right at the end of the session, fueled up for one final run. Yeah, we were in P5 at the moment, so not too bad actually. One of the better quality performances as of lately. But yeah, the session has now ended, and we're 2 tenths up already through turn 1, and a big snap, which was not ideal, but we were still over a tenth up, and I knew there was plenty of time in the lap, so yeah, coming through now, I think there's a Williams on the left, which wasn't too big a distraction as he was out of the way. But we did lose a little bit of time, but gained quite a bit through here, and we're 3 tenths up, so that's a provisional 0.4, and that was with a fairly bad first sector, to be honest, and it wasn't anything special. But gaining more time through the left hand, the hairpin, as Marek sits a 44.0, which is 7 tenths quicker, but I knew there was time even in the third sector, so I was fairly confident at this point that we could maybe get a top 3 coming into this corner. You can cut the inside a lot, as we managed to do alright, but the traction was really poor, so possibly lost out a little bit there. But yeah, and that's another small mistake, so the lap is kind of getting thrown out the way at this point. A few big mistakes, and yeah, we lost a lot of time there, as we're expected to gain it, to be honest. But we're still 3 tenths up, so perhaps we could get a place or 2, or even just finish the lap. But as I said, the penultimate corner was a big weakness, and yeah, I was a bit lucky, to be honest. In the previous one I just got it right, but yeah, on this final one, unfortunately, we did ball it, and it's going to be P5 at best. But fortunately, I think when it came to the end of the session, no one had improved behind us. So technically it is a top 5 starting position, which is, you know, in a dry quality I'd be very happy with. But knowing that there was a little bit more time in it, it's a little bit disappointing, as I felt like definitely P4 was on the cards, possibly P3. But yeah, Now getting ready for the race start. Obviously everyone's starting pretty much in the alt strat as it was a wet quali. So
you're having a joke.
Yeah, I knew Lynx was behind me, and he's a controller player, so on the pad you tend to get quite a decent start, and he's very good off the starts as it is. So yeah, he managed to jump us, and now it was just about surviving turn 1. As we know, USA is quite a hectic turn 1, as we do get a bit of a small footage drop. But yeah, Raphael, who started P4, unfortunately spun into turn 1, which was quite sad for him, and Lynx gets kind of collected there, which was unfortunate for him. I think it was just 3 into 1, which just doesn't work. So Kyle and the softs had made up a lot of places on the start, which was you know, kind of expected when he's starting on the better compound. But yeah, we technically didn't lose much. We stayed in P5, but we have dropped a second to Chalkers, which is obviously not ideal. But yeah, I was prepared to push quite hard at this point in the race because I was desperate to stay in DRS. We had, at this point we broke 1 second, but it was just lap 1. But yeah, I was quite confused at this point what had happened at the start. 2 cars kind of just blowing up. But yeah, as I said, very important to push quite hard at this point and try and remain within a second of the car ahead. But yeah, it seemed like we were losing a small amount of time to Chalkers. But yeah, quite a hectic start, but for us, not too bad. We didn't lose out too much. So yeah, I think we skip on to lap 3 now, and I think we'll see where we are at the races. Smalley leads. Crossing the line into lap 2, we were just over a second behind, and now lap 3 it's the same gap, but it was just under 1.1, so I was hoping with a decent first sector we could possibly get within the second of Chalkers, as he's also been dropped by Kyle, who's on the soft. So as you can see, at this point it was just under a second, and I was prepared to push the S section quite hard. As we managed to do it alright, to be honest. We were at under a second at this point, and just coming through this right hander, a little bit understeer, and not the greatest exit, hitting that sausage curb, and we've dropped out of DRS. As you can see, I've got 0 battery, as I was struggling a little bit for pace, so I was prepared to use my whole battery, but looks like it hasn't paid off, as we are out of DRS. And yeah, it's quite frustrating seeing Chalkers just go and us having 0 battery now. So yeah, now it was kind of just about conserving, trying to just regain some battery, and yeah, just kind of run our own race at this point now that we're out of DRS. And as you can see, lap 6 and we've been dropped 3.8 seconds as Chalkers picked up a penalty, and Elite NL Dave retired from the session, and this triggers a safety car.
No,
so I believe the normal pitting lap would have been like quite a bit later on into the race, but yeah, we decided that it's probably best to get a fresh set of tyres on, especially with rain expected at the end. So we didn't know. I was very doubtful that these tyres were going to make it to the rain. So yeah, I think the original plan was to do medium soft and then hopefully get to inters, but yeah, with the safety car out now, I think it'd be a waste not to pit. So nearing the end of lap 7, we're going to come in and put on a fresh set of mediums, as softs we're not going to make it to the rain, and mediums were a decent tyre, to be fair. Actually, they didn't feel too bad in the first stint.
So we lost no positions.
Yeah, putting on a fresh set of tyres now. Hopefully the pace will be a little bit better than the first stint, and we should maybe be able to stick in DRS a little bit easier after the whole turn 1 thing. I think that is where we kind of dropped a second and we just lost a tenth. That's how much we missed out on DRS by. So yeah, that was a bit of a difficult first thing, but I mean we held in there and we didn't do too bad. So coming out in P5, so we haven't actually lost anything. We've got a fresh set of tyres. So yeah, I think at the end of the safety car, I think someone had spun in during the safety car phase. So yeah, we ended up in P4 as the safety car is coming in. Kyle's soft strategy worked out very well for him, as he gets to go into mediums. So yeah, he made up a lot of places off the start, and the safety car kind of helped him. Smalley, I believe, on fresh softs, and Chalkers, interestingly, had stayed out, so he's on used mediums from lap 1. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what his thinking was, but yeah, it was his decision. So at this point, I was just trying to stay with Kyle and Smalley. I was expecting Smalley to get past Shockers quite quickly on those softs, but the aim was to stay with Kyle as he picks up a 3-second time point. I believe at this point we had no warnings. It had been a very clean race up until this point. As I said, I was just trying to run my own race. Wasn't trying to push too hard. Once I felt at DRS, I was like, let's just try and calm it down and just run a clean race. So up until that point we had. So yeah, running a little bit deep into the hairpin. But yeah, not too bad a safety car reset. We weren't dropped, which is good, as I believe Smalley's getting past Shockers, and Shockers I don't think put up much of a fight, as obviously old mediums versus fresh softs. I don't think there was much point. But yeah, I was expecting Shockers to let us probably through, as we all, as the top 4 we were all TRT teammates, so yeah, kind of just worked together at this point. But yeah, Shockers hadn't done too bad a job on this lap, considering he was on old mediums and we were on fresh tyres.
So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, not too bad a restart lap. As you can see, I think everyone around us had a penalty. So yeah, we were in quite a good spot at this point, missing the apex into the penultimate corner. But yeah, not too bad up until this point. As Smalley's at the fastest lap. So yeah, coming into this hairpin now, Kyle broke quite late. I think Chalkers had broke a little bit early due to having old tyres. I don't think he had the greatest stopping power, so yeah, that kind of wrecked Kyle's race, which was unfortunate. I was kind of hoping Chalkers would let us through, but go for a bit of a dive, and at this point we were all getting a bit frustrated because Chalkers was on old tyres and we were on fresh tyres, so as being teammates as well, I would have thought that he would have let us through, but clearly that wasn't the case. So yeah, at this point it was a little bit frustrating seeing Smalley just go off into the distance, and not just that, but we were also falling back into the clutches of the guys behind. So yeah, I was quite desperate to get past because I just wanted to create a gap to the guys behind, but Chalkers certainly wasn't making it easy, which I thought he might have, but I mean, it's his decision.
Yeah, Kyle, I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah,
I genuinely don't know what this guy's up to.
He was just focused on running his own race, which is fine, but I don't know. Personally, I would have felt like if I had a teammate behind me on fresher tyres,
I don't know what he's doing. I think he's just trying to help Lynx, his little simp buddy.
Yeah,
that's literally what he'll be doing.
He'll
be trying to help Lynx.
Same with Lynx, as we missed the apex there.
I don't even care.
Coming out the first sector, but yeah, we were still running the race quite cleanly. I think perhaps we maybe picked up one warning at this point, but yeah, compared to others, we were in quite a decent position, as I was using a lot of battery, as you can hear me getting quite frustrated with Chalkers. But yeah, this was another mistake on my part. We just outbroke ourselves. But then that was out of frustration, to be honest, just not being able to get past or being let past. So yeah,
we shouldn't box now, should we?
I was coming up the inside, then I tried to switch to the inside here, and we got ahead, and as soon as we got ahead, a safety car gets deployed. So that was, I guess you could say, lucky timing. But yeah, I think Chalkers will pretty much have to pit now for a fresh set of tyres. So I guess his gamble about staying out after the first safety car's kind of worked out. I don't know how you'd put it, but yeah, for us, we're in a net P2 now, which is really good. Smalley's on soft, so they probably will fall off at some point, but I think they are still in decent condition. So my main thing was just trying to remain ahead of Raphael. I expected Smalley to have pretty strong pace, as he does us off the restart. Yeah, I got caught napping a little bit there. So yeah, not ideal, the second restart, but I was expecting Smalley to disappear sort of for the first few laps, and then perhaps as he got a massive tank slap on the exit, I was expecting him to go in the first few laps, but then it could come back to us later on, as the softs tend to overheat or just they drop off massively around USA. So yeah, at this point I was just again focused on running my own race, trying to prevent picking up needless warnings, and yeah, just trying to minimize mistakes. I hadn't done any race practice, so I had no idea how the car would feel like under heavy fuel or whatever. So yeah, lap 16, and up until this point the race had gone quite well. I mean, we're on the podium at this point from P5, so yeah, quite a successful race so far. But yeah, still plenty of laps to go, 12 laps to go, and with the rain expected to come, that could throw up a few obstacles. As I believe there's a yellow flag. Yeah, it was a fairly messy race. There's quite a few incidents.
If we keep him out of DRS, we should be good.
It was just about trying to avoid them. Thankfully, that was one of the benefits of being up at the front. Obviously, you're away from the midfield, away from the main pack, so yeah. You just kind of get to run your own race and see what happens.
What?
Yeah, coming to the end of lap 16, we had been dropped by almost 2 seconds by Smalley, but
race.
Yeah.
Stupid mosh, it cost me like 2 seconds.
We did manage to break DRS out to Raphael using half our battery, which obviously a lot of battery usage, but we managed to break DRS. But Chalkers had passed us with his fresh softs, and we get dive bombed by our teammate, which was a very, very aggressive move in my opinion. So yeah, Chalkers had overtaken us with the fresh softs after he put on the second safety car. But yeah, Joao just kind of barged his way past, and he has a penalty. By this point, I picked up a needless warning. After Chalkers overtook me, I think I picked up 1 or 2 warnings, and then that was our third. So yeah, just trying a little bit too hard to keep up with our teammate. So yeah. Yeah, so yeah, quite a bit of frustration after picking up a silly penalty and getting dive bombed essentially. But as the rain started to come down, we were struggling quite a bit, as braking points had sort of changed, but at the same point they weren't massively different. So yeah, just a few small mistakes were creeping in, and we're just starting to lose time, especially on those who perhaps pitted in the second safety car. They have fresher tyres, which in these sort of conditions will help, and in those on softer compounds as well. So yeah, struggling quite a bit, as you can see, running wide. But yeah, at this point I was just trying to hold on pretty much. I knew the guys ahead had quite a few penalties. As you can see, Chalkers had 6 seconds, so yeah, it was getting very wet at this point. But I think we had asked Jeff, and he still recommended dries being quicker, as Lynx and Chalkers pit for intermediates. Perhaps that lap was the lap to pit, but yeah, I think staying out this lap wasn't too bad. I think we perhaps lost like a second, but I don't think it was too big a loss. I think the gap between the dries and the inters at this point were quite similar, so yeah, boxing in with Raphael. I don't think we made a big mistake, but I don't think we made like the, I don't think it was that lap we get it spot on. So yeah, coming at the pits now, I think Chalkers is going to get us, but that was about it. So we're in P5, and as you can see, DRS got disabled on lap 22. So I would say this is probably the lap that you want to pit. Normally when DRS is disabled, that is like a hint
12.
That yeah, it's the time. As you can see, IFRA Lynx retires. I'm not quite sure what happened to Lynx, but that triggers another safety car. So yeah, quite a lengthy race this was, as it was wet and we had multiple safety cars. But safety cars coming in on lap 24, so we're going to have a few laps of racing. So yeah, preparing for the third safety car restart. This one wasn't as bad as the second, but as you can see, third place man Chalkers picks up a drive-through, which is crucial, as that'll be another position that we can gain. So that'll put us in a net P4, so we're 1 place off the podium. After 1 point running this race in P2, I was really looking to get a podium, as I felt we'd had quite a strong race up until this point.
No, he would serve the drive-through this lap.
After a few rough weeks in terms of results, it was finally good to be a little bit more on the pace. But yeah, we had to gain this position on Raphael if we did want a place in the podium, and I was very desperate to do that. As you can see, pushing really hard. I'm surprised I didn't pick up a warning there, to be honest, but yeah, coming into that hairpin, I struggled quite a bit with that, a lot of understeer. using a TT setup obviously probably isn't the smartest idea, but yeah, limited practice. But yeah, so chalkers will have to serve that drive-through before the end of the race, and obviously can't really get a drive-through removed. So yeah, we just need to focus on trying to get past Raphael. I didn't quite know how the pace would have been in the inters, but it didn't seem too bad on this initial lap. But yeah, coming into lap 28 now, we're really close to Raphael. As you can see, we're just like half a second away from a podium. And now looking back, if we hadn't picked up that silly penalty, we would just be in this position and probably get P2 as well, as you can see, because Joao was just 2 seconds ahead. But yeah, pushing super hard to this S section, picking up another warning, because I knew we had a pen at this point, so I was just like, throw everything at it. Super aggressive on the power, and battery wasn't an issue in the wet, so deploying as much as we can and braking super late, within 3.5 tenths. But obviously when you brake late, you're going to sacrifice the exit a little bit. But I was hoping with a little bit of slipstream, but we were running super high wings. I think we were running 11 wings, so yeah, straight line speed was pretty much nowhere all race, and with no DRS in the wet, it's going to be quite hard to make a move in the straight. But we gained quite a lot through the braking and on the power, so the way this corner kind of is, you can always afford to give a bit of a dive. So squirming on the power, I was like, it's the last lap, it's a podium, we have to send it. And yeah, it didn't quite work out. Fair play to Raphael, he didn't just turn in.
He left so much space. I think he just didn't expect it.
We didn't quite manage it. So yeah, coming through the final sector now, through the penultimate corner. Just trying to make sure we don't pick up a second pen.
I can't lie.
But yeah, we tried our best, but it wasn't just I guess it just wasn't enough this round. But yeah, overall quite a decent race. I felt it's actually a fairly exciting race, I felt. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, hopefully this will become more of a regular thing now. I'm hoping to get 1 or 2 videos out a week, either of WOR or PSGL highlights, perhaps OTLR or team events as well, if they go well. So yeah, I will try to be uploading more consistently. So if you guys want to leave any feedback in the comments, please feel free to do so. Yeah, I'd appreciate if you subscribe as well, because yeah, that'd help out very much. Yeah, I'd like to give a big shout out to TRT Stormy, who edited this full video and created the thumbnail, which was a huge help. Because I've just not had much time to edit recently, and he was even willing to make a thumbnail. So yeah, a big thank you to him. I'll leave his links in the description, so if you guys can go and follow him, that'd be greatly appreciated. So yeah, I'm hoping I'll be back relatively soon. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.